In today's video, I want to give you guys the possibility of some major franchises returning, most notably from BioWare as well as Remedy. BioWare, of course, has a lot of franchises under their belt, whether it be a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, a Mass Effect. Obviously, we know that Dragon Age is making a comeback, but what about another franchise for them making a comeback? It looks like something will be happening. And also, Remedy Entertainment, the guys that you know for Control, Alan Wake, and Quantum Break, has signed publishing deals for 2 next-generation titles, and it looks like another franchise might be making a comeback with that. We'll talk about that after BioWare. But recently, as noted by Segment Next, BioWare posted a job listing that suggests that the video game developer is looking to revitalize one of their reputable game franchises for the modern era of gaming. BioWare is specifically searching for a technical director going by this job listing. It looks like the Canadian video game developer is looking to resurrect one of their game franchises, and here is the description that lists on the job listing. You will be the most senior engineering lead on the next major title in one of BioWare's most prestigious franchises and a contributing leader to BioWare's studio strategy. You will partner with the other disciplines to build the technology and the programming team to deliver amazing player experiences. Now, this prestigious franchise could be referring to Mass Effect. It could be referring to something like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which is something that I would be all over. BioWare does have quite the backlog of games. I mean, it could even be Anthem if for some reason BioWare has lost their minds and considers Anthem a prestigious franchise. Maybe they're hiring for an Anthem 2. I highly doubt that, but nonetheless, that is something to talk about as well. Mass Effect, of course, has been taking a little bit of a hit with the release of Mass Effect Andromeda. That game was not very good, especially at the quality level of the first 3 Mass Effect games. Look, if Mass Effect Andromeda was called, like, some game called, like, Greed or something, I'm not even trying to throw shade at Greedfall. Greed just came to me. If Mass Effect Andromeda was just a space RPG called Greed, maybe people wouldn't have hated it as much, but the fact that it was a part of the Mass Effect franchise and the enormous amount of hype that inherently is going to go alongside that, Mass Effect Andromeda was a pretty bad game, and even if it was called Greed, it wouldn't be the best game in the world, and Greedfall would be a substantially better game. But nonetheless, earlier this year, BioWare possibly teased a remastered Mass Effect trilogy, which is something that EA in general, I feel like, has not done enough with remasters. Where is a Dragon Age 1 and 2 collection? Where is a Mass Effect trilogy? Where is a Crisis trilogy? We got Burnout Paradise remastered, and I love me some Burnout Paradise remastered, as you guys know, but where are the remasters of all of these games that so many people want to go back and play? That seems to just be a license to print money, and for whatever reason, EA has not gone back to the well and done that. EA will do so many things, underhanded or not, to make money, but they won't go back and remaster Mass Effect. You won't do a remastering of Dragon Age 1 and 2, Crisis 1, 2, and 3. That just makes all the sense in the world. Hell, a Battlefield Bad Company 2 remaster, there are just so many opportunities with all of the games EA has in their backlog to make a ton of money. Skate 1, 2, and 3. How could I not mention that? But nonetheless, going back to the topic of BioWare, that trilogy of Mass Effect never got confirmed, and the Canadian developer recently confirmed that they would reboot Anthem. Even since its 2019 release, the game has suffered a rapid decline in player count. The title is BioWare's lowest rated game in history, and that is really what changed perception on BioWare. Look, you could hate on Mass Effect Andromeda, but it was really after Anthem that people just changed perception of BioWare. But it also does go to show that there is a little bit of recency bias. I do think that if BioWare got back on track and their next game was amazing, if Dragon Age 4 was amazing, then people would go right back to saying, hey, BioWare got their groove back. We're a very short-term industry. It's a what have you done for me lately kind of industry, not an industry that is really looking at the legacy of everything. Look, if Naughty Dog just completely falls off and Last of Us Part 2 is a complete flop, and then their next game is a complete flop as well, people will change their tune immediately to Naughty Dog as well. But the ability to rebrand yourself, revitalize yourself as a studio, that is always there. There's a publishing label, but look at THQ with THQ Nordic. They have completely revitalized themselves. Yes, it does take some work. I can also look at a Capcom. It does definitely take some work, but if you throw out a couple of good games back to back, the perception of you can change really quickly, and ultimately, a Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem would be looked as more of a blip on the radar. Right now, BioWare's got a lot to do. Don't get it twisted. They've got an uphill battle to go over right now, but to people saying it's an unsurmountable battle and everything is lost for BioWare, I wouldn't necessarily, be rolling out the casket for BioWare at this point. I still think they have a lot to offer gamers and the industry, but obviously their most recent games have left a lot to be desired. So hopefully with their next games, and I know that there's been some development development turmoil with Dragon Age 4. Who knows what this prestigious franchise could be? Is it Mass Effect? Is it something entirely different? We'll wait and see on that, but these are next generation projects, so that is something to think about. Dragon Age 4, next generation game. Whatever this game is, probably a next generation title as well. Alright, moving on from that, while BioWare has been in the news quite a bit, Remedy has been in the news as well, but for some positive reasons. I think Control was a fantastic game. I think Remedy in general is just one of the better studios in all of gaming. I'm not saying their games are perfect, however, they do some quality games, and Remedy Entertainment has signed a publishing agreement with a major publisher for 2 unannounced games to be released on next generation consoles and PC in the next few years, the company announced. Now, this is with Epic Games, and it really puts a little bit of a blunder on how this game is going to be rolled out on PC, because the wording of this statement is kind of unique in the sense of nobody really knows if these games are going to be Epic Game Store exclusives. Are they going to be multi-platform? They'll definitely be multi-platform in the sense that they'll be coming to consoles. It's just the PC landscape is a little bit murky right now. I would imagine they would end up being Epic Game Store exclusives, and they would be Epic Game Store exclusives for the long haul, but nonetheless, if they're getting the funding that it needs for Remedy to create their games, and I know Remedy games, generally speaking, don't sell absolutely the best, then maybe this was the best decision for them. The first game is a AAA multi-platform title currently in pre-production, while the second game is a smaller scale title in the same franchise. Now, it's not clear if these games are both a part of the same franchise that's a history franchise, a legacy franchise by Remedy. Like, is this Alan Wake 2 and then another Alan Wake game that's smaller? Hey, we've seen that. Alan Wake had Alan Wake, and then we also had Alan Wake's American Nightmare. That would make all of the sense in the world. The full press release reads this: Remedy Entertainment, developer of multiple Game of the Year award winner Control, has signed publishing agreements with a major publisher for the company's next 2 unannounced video game. The agreement specified that the publisher will fully fund the game development costs and that Remedy is entitled to a 50% share of the net revenue from the game sale. So from a deal standpoint, this is a pretty great deal for Remedy in terms of they are getting their game entirely funded, and then they also get to reap some of the benefits of the revenue the game generates. I believe, traditionally speaking, how publishing agreements work is that the publisher forks over the cost of developing the game, and then they publish the game, and that's where they reap the benefits. Remedy here is still entitled to a 50% share of the net revenue from the game sales, and Remedy also retains the ownership of the game's intellectual property. That is a huge thing when you're talking about publishing agreements. Look at what Platinum Games is going through. Platinum Games has done a tremendous job, but there's a reason why they want creative control and full ownership of their IPs. Remedy is going to be able to have that with this agreement, so there's a lot of positives for Remedy just from their standpoint. The first project is a AAA multi-platform game already in pre-production and previously referred to as the unannounced third project. The second is a new smaller scale project set in the same franchise. Both projects are being developed on Remedy's proprietary Northlight game engine and tools. More details regarding the partnership between Remedy and the publisher will be announced later today by a press release, and that was ultimately the Epic Game Store press release. The partnership extends Remedy's strategy of creating and developing its own IPs into long-term franchises. Both games will be launched on next-generation console platforms and PC in the next few years. Remedy's financial outlook and guidance remain unchanged. The company estimates its revenue and operating profit to increase during 2020. Majority of the revenue and operating profit growth is expected to materialize during the second half of the period, so you would think something would be coming out in the second half of fiscal year 2020, whether that be a Control remaster. I don't really know. The Epic Game Store agreement is obviously going to be something that upsets a lot of people. If you're a PlayStation gamer, I don't think you're really going to care, just because ultimately you want to see Remedy put out high-quality titles on a PlayStation platform, and on the PlayStation 5, it's going to be great. For PC guys, yes, it's going to be a bummer if it's not on Steam, and that's going to be really, really unfortunate. I'm not really here to cover that on this channel. Just know that Remedy is creating 2 games, one of them a AAA multi-platform title. Still very early on. I wouldn't imagine we're going to see that for quite a while. It is currently in pre-production, while the second game is a smaller scale title in the same franchise. If it's Alan Wake 2 and then an Alan Wake 2 spin-off kind of game, I would be all over that. I think Alan Wake has a lot of legs to it. It's unfortunate that the game didn't end up selling that well, because I thought the game was really good, really strong narrative out of that one, and I thought the gameplay was pretty good as well. If they want to do a follow-up to Control, obviously I'd be all over that. Control is a game that I'm super high on, and I think there's a lot of potential on that game going forward, and really showcase that Remedy can do games with excellent gameplay as well, on top of quality storytelling and narrative and interesting narratives that really immerse you into the world. Nonetheless, that will be happening, and hopefully we get some official information as far as what those games are sooner rather than later, but both of those, again, next generation titles. So that's going to conclude this video. Again, BioWare alongside Remedy, they're looking to create some major games on next generation platforms. Franchises might be returning. What would you like to see? New Mass Effect, Alan Wake 2, maybe another Control title. What would be, your ideal games out of these studios? Because BioWare and Remedy, even if BioWare has lost a little bit of its luster, I would still like to think they have a lot left in the tank and they can put out some good stuff. Let's just hope it's not Anthem 2. And Remedy, again, a Control follow-up or a Control spin-off, that'd be great as well. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.